Religions all across China are being attacked by the government. Just last December, 3 major churches were shut down and many pastors were arrested. However, the most affected community is unarguably the Muslims, most notably the Uighurs, who are being put into concentration camps in large numbers. China has a significant Muslim population of 20 million people. More people than the combined population of Finland, Iceland, and Sweden. These Muslims are not foreigners or immigrants from neighboring countries. Rather, they have been born and raised in China for centuries. Their ancestors adopted Islam as a result of alliances and trade relationships between the Islamic and Chinese empires. Although many of us have not heard of Chinese Muslims, they have been influential to Chinese history. For example, the Kansu Braves were an army of 10,000 Muslim soldiers who fought against the foreigners in the Boxer Rebellion. Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany was so alarmed by them that he requested the Ottoman Caliph Abdulhamid to find a way to stop them. Currently, there's an estimated 1 million Uighurs in Chinese concentration camps, which begs the question, who are the Uighurs? The Uighurs are both an ethnic and religious minority from Xinjiang, the largest province in China. They speak their own language and have a distinct culture, but sadly, they have been mistreated by the Chinese government for decades. After the establishment of Communist China, China tried to suppress Islam because they believed that communism was incompatible with religion. Mosques were demolished and people were arrested for praying in public. Two clear violations of religious freedom. The Chinese government also promoted the migration of the Han, the main ethnic group in China, to Xinjiang, causing the Han population to rise 1,000% since 1949. The demographic change had negative ramifications for the Uyghurs. It caused the price of living to dramatically explode because the region became so much more populated. Second, Uyghurs were excluded from many employment activities, many of which went instead to the Han. These two factors caused an increase in Uyghur poverty levels and resentment towards the government. Because of all this mistreatment, the Uyghurs have tried to gain independence in the past. They were like, let's get rid of these communists, and you can probably imagine how that turned out. China is very protective of Xinjiang because it has a lot of natural resources. 150 barrels of oil, 40% of China's coal, and 23.5 billion cubic meters of gas. And the Chinese government cannot afford to lose this. A lot of its energy comes from there, and fuel is one of the most valuable assets a country can have. They wanted to control the Uyghur population so that they could control these assets, and one way they tried doing this is by restricting culture. Uyghur women are banned from wearing the hijab, young men are not allowed to grow long beards, fasting is prohibited, parents are not allowed to give their children an Islamic or Uyghur education. Youth under 18 are barred from mosque during sermons. Quran must be approved by the state, which means it is altered to fit with communist propaganda, and their movement is restricted. In fact, it seems like Uyghurs are not allowed to do anything relating to religion. The government has even placed cameras in their homes, which means they can't even pray in private. This is a clear violation of privacy and severely restricts their freedom. How would you like it if someone was watching you in your house? I'm pretty sure you'd be freaked, especially if you're one of those people that places tape on webcams. All these restrictions are immoral and are rights that everyone should have. No government should be allowed to restrict the lives of their citizens to this degree. Throughout the decades, the punishment of these crimes have only gotten worse. Today, if you're caught committing one of these crimes, you can be sent to an internment camp. Many times they are arrested for no significant reason. People have reported being arrested for visiting relatives abroad, possessing books about religion and culture, wearing a Muslim crescent, or even saying something in Arabic. What's even worse is what's happening in these internment camps in which 1 million Uyghurs are being held. In these camps, people are forced to drink alcohol and eat pork, which are big no-nos for Muslims. They're also forced to memorize and recite communist songs, do grueling work which sounds like something from a gulag or Auschwitz. They're tortured with reports of waterboarding, and there are also reports of death. These internment camps are essentially re-education camps in which China tries to brainwash its citizens and erase their cultural identity, because China views the Uyghur identity, especially their religious aspect, as a virus and illness that needs to be controlled. Uyghurs are forced to do things against their will, and their lives have become a living nightmare. How would you like it if you were arrested, forced to praise Trump, work in a factory, and then tortured? I'm guessing you wouldn't. I imagine that you'd feel violated, frustrated, and extremely terrified. And these are feelings that no one should be allowed to go through. But sadly, this is the reality of the Uyghurs. 1 million Uyghurs are currently in this situation, and we must take them more seriously. We must fight for them. Because of all these immoral wrongdoings, the government tries to keep it a secret, and we only know about it because of the people who escaped China after being freed and satellite imagery. Because of the sheer amount of people in concentration camps, they affect all people. 1/10 of all Uyghurs have been in an internment camp in the past. Even worse, when parents are sent to internment camps, children are snatched from their families and taken to boarding schools similar to the internment camps. At these boarding schools, the government tries to brainwash these children at a young age. This is as cruel, if not more cruel, than what's happening at our border. If this continues, it will result in the cultural genocide of the Uyghur identity and culture. To solve this problem, people and countries all over the world must come together and pressure China into shutting down these concentration camps. Just last week, 22 countries issued a joint statement to China urging them to end these human rights abuses. But much more work needs to actually be done to end this disaster. This is a hard task because China is such a powerful economic force, but it must be done. If countries across the world place sanctions on China and boycott its products, which must be difficult considering how everything is made in China these days, I'm confident that we'll be able to end these internment camps once and for all.